Okay, so today we are looking at jumping to conclusions. It's a big one and it's something that we all do. And in today's class, firstly, we're going to look at what jumping to conclusions means. Then we're going to help you to see if it's something that you do in your life. And finally, we're going to give you the tools and techniques to help free yourself of this type of thinking so that you can have more fun and enjoy life. So let's get started. So what does jumping to conclusions mean? It's something that we all do. As human beings, we are always trying to make sense of reality. And when we're trying to make sense of reality, what does that mean? It means we're looking at evidence to support what we believe. What evidence do we have? Now, jumping to conclusions means, do we have all the evidence we require? As a human being, consciously, we can only ever really be aware of around 7, 8, maybe 9 different things. It's very difficult for us to know everything in any situation. Now, jumping to conclusions means if we've got a bit of information, we then might jump to a conclusion which isn't necessarily true. Do we have all of the information? Most of the time, we only have a small amount of information on something. We can guess, we can sort of estimate, we can think we know, but do we really know all the facts? Most of the time we're just joining the dots, right? We're just trying to work out whether we think something's true or not, but a lot of the time when we jump to conclusions, we could just be totally wrong. For example, do we know everything about the future? Do we know what's going to happen in the future? Can we predict what's going to happen in the future? Do we have a crystal ball that allows us to see what's happening in the future? The answer is no. We don't know what's happening in the future. We can't really predict, but a lot of the time we still believe that we can. We jump to conclusions. We think, hey, I know what's going to happen in the future, or I think I do. And we might do that in our relationships. We might do that at work. We might do that with ourselves. The truth is we just don't know. You can see how we have limited amount of information, limited amount of data, and then we say, well, regardless of that, this is what I think. We jump to a conclusion. If you're struggling in a relationship and you're maybe struggling with somebody else's behavior, sometimes, yeah, for sure, we know exactly what's going on. Maybe something bad's happened and we know exactly what's happened. But a lot of the time, can we really know what somebody else is thinking? Can we know what's going on in someone else's head? Can you know for sure? Can you know for sure what somebody meant when they said something? The answer is we can't. We have our suspicions, we have our assumptions, we can guess, but we don't know for sure. And again, it's easy for us to jump to conclusions about what other people are thinking, what other people intended, and really what's going on in other people's heads is totally out of our knowledge. It's something we really don't understand or know about. But as human beings, a lot of the time we think we do, and we like to jump to conclusions about that. So if you are labeling yourself, as we spoke about in the previous video, can you really be sure that that's true? Are you jumping to a conclusion about yourself? So you failed once. Does that mean that you're a total failure? So you got ditched by your ex-girlfriend. Does that mean that there's something wrong with you? Totally. Are you jumping to a conclusion about yourself? Now, jumping to conclusions means we take 1 or 2 facts and then we say, this is true, this is a universal fact. When we feel depressed, a lot of the times we think we feel helpless and hopeless about the future. And again, can we really know what the future holds? And can we really know that we won't be able to do anything about it? Can we really know that we're helpless? Are we jumping to conclusions there? If you're angry at someone, again, it's very possible that they did something wrong and maybe you've got a lot of evidence to support that. But just check in with the evidence. Can you be sure that what they were doing was intentional? Can you be sure what they were doing was malicious? Or are you jumping to conclusions? If you feel hurt by someone and you think they treated you badly, what evidence have you got? Are you jumping to a conclusion? Are you sure that they were trying to be nasty? Are you sure they had bad intentions? Can you be certain? Maybe they did. I'm not saying they didn't, but are you jumping to conclusions? We do it all of the time. We have imperfect data in the world, and as human beings, we like to think, I'm right. I know what I'm doing. I know what I think. And the truth is that's not always the case. If you are worried about something, can you absolutely know that that's going to happen? Can you know that your worry is valid? When we feel anxious, we overestimate the probability of what we're afraid of happening. So you can see how we're jumping to a conclusion. When we feel anxious, we underestimate our ability to cope. Can you see again, we're jumping to conclusions about our ability of whether we can cope or not. So that's what human beings are doing all the time. So in ancient philosophy, they were teaching this as a core concept, and in Stoic philosophy, that's ancient Greek philosophy, but also in mindfulness, they talk about something called reserving judgment. And what that means is, look, we don't know everything. We don't have all the facts. You give me one topic in life that you think you have all the facts about. Think about a relationship situation. Do you really have all the facts? Do you really know everything? Think about work and your work worries. Do you really know? Yes, it's difficult at the moment, but do you know why you're there? Like what you could actually learn there? Do you really know all of the details about what everyone else thinks? Do you really know everything about yourself? We don't know all the information. As human beings, we don't really know much about ourselves. Yes, we know some of our emotions, but we don't really know what's going on. We don't know about our unconscious programming. We don't know about how the past affects our present. We don't know how other people experience us. We don't know what's really best for other people. We know what we think, but in life, we have very limited amount of information. We just don't know. We like to think we know, but we don't know. And the same is true for jumping to conclusions. When we do that, we think we know. We are not reserving judgment. We're not saying, hey, okay, I can see this, but you know what? I'm going to wait and I'm going to see if I can find out more. Is there anything else I can find out to help me deal with this? For me to see whether my opinion is right or not. Reserving judgment basically says there's always more to learn. So just begin asking yourself around any stressful beliefs you have in your life, whatever you're dealing with, are you jumping to a conclusion? Is what you believe totally true? What evidence have you got to believe if it's true or not? What evidence have you got to prove that it's not totally true? Maybe ask yourself, what information do I not know? What information is missing? Truth is, there's always more to know. And there's always more to find out. There's no doubt about it. And jumping to conclusions, a lot of the time it shuts us off. It blocks us. It stops us from moving forward. It stops us from feeling happy. And a lot of the time our beliefs just aren't true. It's just fake news. And we talk a lot about fake news, and human beings in general, we give ourselves the fake news. That's the big story. We're the people that push the dodgy headlines. We're the people that believe our own headlines ourselves, and they're just not true. Okay guys, so that's all for today. If you've got any questions, put them underneath the video. And again, this belief is another one that you can just keep in your diary, keep in your notebook, and just ask yourself in the future, if you're having a stressful situation, ask yourself, what conclusions might you be jumping to? Okay, good work today, and I will see you later.